at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. We got a lot to talk about, and we got to get into this game plan as well. How the 49ers are planning to attack Arizona Cardinals on offense and defense, especially now that we know who the quarterback is officially going to be.
Right, Ant. We officially know. We know exactly who it's going to be. We know who the guy is. We know who the man under center is. Trade day is officially here. He's got 5 on it. Evan's hoping he's got 5 crumble cookies and a bunch of other things coming his way as well. Hopefully that's not the case. I would hate to have to pay out our very first wage on the podcast to an undefeated football team in Arizona. But look, it is what it is. We got a lot of things to talk about, so make sure that you hit that like button right now. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and that notification bell. And Ant, let's jump into this bad boy. Let's talk about this. Jimmy's out. Official. He's out. He's not playing. George Kittle, doubtful. Samson Ebukam, questionable. That's a good news. Javon Kinlaw also questionable, but we're all expecting him to go.
I feel shocked.
I know. How do you feel about all of these guys? Specifically, let's start with the Kittle stuff. Let's start with the Samson Ebukam stuff and the Javon Kinlaw stuff, because we're obviously going to get to the Jimmy fallout, what that means, and with Trey Lance starting. So how are you feeling about all of those? Are you worried about any of it?
I'm very optimistic now about Samson Ebukam, because I was getting concerned when he missed 2 days of practice, but now he's listed as questionable. So I think that means he's going to play, which I think is big, because we need him against Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray is very fast, if you haven't figured that out yet, but I think everyone knows. Kyler Murray's dynamic, and you need guys that are going to be able to set the edge and then also, get after it if needed to, string him to the sideline. So I think Ebukam was big. And then Kinlaw, this is just the norm. This is what you're going to expect every single week. He's going to be questionable. He's going to be limited at practice. They're going to manage him the entire year with the knee tendonitis just to make sure that he's ready to go. Kittle is doubtful, and I think the fact that he's doubtful makes me lean towards the fact that he might not play in this game. I think that I'm looking at it and I'm like, wait, he was questionable last week. This week he's doubtful. There's a possibility that he's not improving. Maybe he's even getting a little bit worse, and they're planning on shutting him down. And it sounds like the way Kyle Shanahan was talking about it is sometimes you have to protect players from themselves. George Kittle will go out there and push himself every single week to play. Sometimes the training staff has to say no, and I think they might be saying no in this category. They're going to work him out today. They're going to have a better idea, but he's going to be a game-time decision on Sunday. I hope he's out there, but if he's not, I think that we understand what's going on, that you have to get healthy, and this is a good time for him to sit if needed, so that way he could sit for 2 weeks because of the bye week and the fact he doesn't have a game in a couple weeks, so it's really nice.
Yeah, it's definitely nice. But you want him out there.
Oh, 100%.
He makes a lot of things easier for Trey. In the run game, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
In the pass game, abso-freaking-lutely. All of those things, George Kittle out there will help, make things a little bit easier, especially against a defense in Arizona that has struggled against the run. Is a bottom 5 run defensive team. They're not the greatest run defensive team in the league. So, being able to establish that run, we've been talking about it all week. This is the big thing for us with this game plan. Is being able to establish a run. And I don't want to get away from Samson Ebukam yet, because him being questionable now is a great sign, and I feel a lot better knowing that he's the next guy in that rotation behind Armstead and behind Bosa with him and Ford. I feel really good about that. I feel real comfortable about that. That makes me feel a lot better. And Kinlaw, I agree with you in everything you said. But we got to get into the game plan and how important it's going to be to establish the run, especially with this being Trey's first start. The Trey plan, not the game plan, the Trey plan is the thing that's on everyone's mind now. What is this offense going to look like? What are you going to be able to do? What do you have to do? It starts with the run game for San Francisco, something that we haven't been able to get a lot of. But with Elijah Mitchell back in the fold, maybe this run game could potentially look a lot more explosive and a lot different than it has in the first 4 weeks of the season.
Well, now you get a change of pace. I mean, right now you had Trey Sermon. He was running at a certain pace. He was doing a good job. He did a very good job against Seattle. But Elijah Mitchell adds a little bit extra. Puts his foot in the ground, gets upfield, and gets the yards that he needs to get. He also goes through a little bit tighter windows than Trey Sermon does. He has a little bit better vision than Trey Sermon does right now, running on the interior. But what it brings back to is the sweeps, the sweep toss. Get the ball outside where Elijah Mitchell can create. And that's going to be very pivotal, because the Arizona Cardinals are going to probably try to bring guys up in the box and try to stop this run game. Now, they have to dedicate a player or players to Trey Lance. That is going to be the added element that the 49ers offense is going to be able to use, is the fact that Trey's going to be able to run read options. to go ahead and freeze a guy, and depending on how that end plays it. The one thing I will say, though, and I've brought this up, with Evan as well on our Know Your Opponent, is I'm worried about Isaiah Simmons, because I think that this guy can really focus in on Trey Lance, and if I'm Arizona, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to take him, depending if they play Zaven Collins, but even Budda Baker, and really muck up the reads for Trey Lance, because you can confuse the reads, and you can make it so it's not so easy. Even though the offense wants to read one single player, you can adjust it and make it so that player is not easy to read, because you can bring a linebacker or a safety in that place as well. I think that's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to get after him early and often, and they're really going to try to make him beat them, and he's going to have to do that. So early on in this game, it's going to be important to establish the run. But if he's getting these very thick and condensed boxes, he's going to have to create. That could be through Kyle Shanahan implementing a little bit of the RPO.
RPO will be important this week, and we thought we saw some RPO last week on film.
Yeah,
we thought we saw some RPO situations, and he didn't necessarily see some of the things that we saw, because on some of those RPO situations, if he had pulled and made the throw, there were bigger play opportunities. But now you have a game plan installed where maybe RPO is a little bit more heavy. You're working on those reads, focusing in on what those reads are, and he's going to feel more comfortable with necessarily what he's seeing. That was the big thing last week. It didn't feel like he was comfortable with what he was seeing, and the concerning part is that there really wasn't a lot of guessing to be done. Now, seeing that from Seattle, that's something you can now prepare for, is maybe identifying and better recognition of those shell coverages and what they may look like for each specific team, right? Maybe some giveaways in terms of leverage, how guys turn pre-snap, and things of that nature. So you may see some not silent counts, not even necessarily hard counts, but essentially dual counts, where a guy comes up, he's going to give his initial count to get the defense to show, move, and get into things so that Trey can recognize and identify the things he needs to identify and be like, okay, cool. In my mind now, that guy creeped up. I might have cover 3 here based on where the linebacker's playing. Maybe this is cover 1, but now he has a better idea of his read keys because he's more familiar with them, right? They've established their count and tempo and how things are supposed to go. I'm excited for those types of things. Right. I'm excited to see Trey operating in the system and him being put into the positions that Kyle wants to put him into. Because Kyle talked about this a little bit in his presser day, right? They're going to do the things that Trey's comfortable with. That is the game plan. The game plan is going to be putting in plays and sets and formations and putting him in positions that he's familiar with and comfortable executing, not going up there necessarily and creating and drawing up things on the fly for him to go out and do. And Kyle talked about this last week after Trey's first game, which is we might have to get more comfortable with backyard football, right? Being able to on the fly adjust guys operating and moving in space. So I would imagine you're going to have a lot of route concepts and opportunities where Trey is going to be able to get out of the pocket, and he'll have a number of guys on that side of the field already that can operate and maneuver in space, move back in order to create levels and lanes for him to be able to attack and push the football downfield. Kyle is 100% Ant. 100%, especially if the run game gets going and RPOs are working and read option is freezing linebackers and Trey's able to have a little bit of success there. The run game's going. The deep shot is going to get dialed. It has to get dialed because it's the thing that Trey is the best at. It's his greatest asset. It's his greatest weapon is the deep ball. Arizona has to be very careful about sending pressure. Evan keeps talking about the sending pressure. If you send pressure at the wrong time when Kyle has a deep shot lined up, and you got Trey Lance one-on-one in space with Brandon Aiyuk against not Byron Murphy Jr., that could be a big play for the 49ers. Those 50-50 opportunities could go San Francisco's way. These not role players, but these athletes in space, right, are playmakers on the outside. This is the week that if you're going to make plays, if you can do that and elevate your game, right, and if Trey doesn't throw the most perfect ball, but you can go up and be that guy in space, it could pay huge dividends for San Francisco early. Take some of the pressure off Trey, help him settle in and make him feel more comfortable. And if he's feeling comfortable, he's settled in, he knows what he's seeing, he likes what he's seeing, and all of a sudden now he feels very comfortable with his guys on the outside and is willing to give them chances to make plays and they're executing, things could tilt in San Francisco's favor very quickly.
If I'm the 49ers this week on the very first play of the game for Trey Lance, I come out in a formation that looks heavy run. I have Deebo Samuel and Brandon Aiyuk out there. And I run a play action pass, and I turn his back to the defense, and I let him rip. And I say, you go after a kid, you throw it deep, because you put the fear of God into Arizona that he can throw it deep. And if for some reason that it works, it changes the game forever. But what it does is it makes them think, wait, Kyle's willing to do this. He's willing to let it rip. It's going to show an attitude and aggressiveness. Normally, I would say get him outside the pocket, let him have a nice, comfortable throw. No, let's do this because this is where he's the most comfortable. He's the most comfortable letting it rip, the throw that he made against Trent Sherfield in the preseason, I say that's what they do. The one thing I'll say about Alex Mack, if I'm the 49ers, I say you control every single blocking element this week. You are the one that's going to make all the adjustments, all the calls. Take that off of Trey's, plate. Let him not worry about that. Alex Mack, you're in control of that. You make sure it happens. Guys like Kyle Juszczyk, guys like Ross Dwelley that have been in the system for a long time are going to have to help out as well. They're going to have to maneuver people around. They're going to have to figure it out. And I think Matt can do it, and he can get it done. And I think that is going to help if we have the recognition. Normally, I would say a running back, like Evan was talking about, a running back could really help with protections. That happens a lot. They'll figure out who's coming, and they'll let the quarterback know. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen because we have 2 rookie running backs that are going to be getting the bulk of the load. So you don't do that. So I think that's what they should do. I think they should take a shot. Everyone expects them to run on play 1. Everyone expects something different from Kyle Shanahan. So go ahead and take your shot.
Right, either a read option, some sort of inside give, outside zone, toss, sweep, something like that. I would love a little use check motion action, right? Show that toss look that you've been doing. Take that toss, set down in the pocket, settle in, and just go, man. Just go. I mean, I did this. My second game coaching football at the high school level. The very first game, we ran heavy all game long. We ran that pistol formation. Basically, ran the ball for a majority of the game. Rival team was in the stands watching. We go the next time we play them at home. First time, I know they're going to load the box. I know they're going to bring guys down to space. We went I formation. We loaded up heavy. And we took a shot. We took a shot downfield in the first play just to let them know. Incomplete pass. It didn't work out in our favor at all. But just to let them know, hey, we're willing to go downfield. So if you want to start creeping guys up in space, we can burn you deep. And it did. If it caused those safeties and everyone to kind of just think twice about, how much do I really want to come up and stop this run and support the run game here? Sometimes I got to just trust my linebackers to get it done. And that's good for the 49ers. The less guys in the box trying to slow down the run game.
Yeah.
Better for Trey, better for the run game. Also, just letting Trey know too, right? As a coach, I have faith in you. I believe in your abilities and your talents. Now go make a play.
Yeah, welcome back horizontal offense as well. Get the ball out. You saw the RPO in the other game where he's faking it across. Looks like he's reading the end, but really he's reading a DB. And of course, you have the defensive end out there playing Jamal Adams, and he came in on a blitz. But he could have hit Deebo Samuel on that RPO. And I think now that he saw it, he's going to be able to make a read. I mean, that's the one thing about Trey Lance. He might make a mistake, but most of the time when he watches on film, he corrects said mistake. And I think that there's going to be opportunities to do that, and you're going to be able to take advantage of Arizona's aggressiveness. Because if I was Arizona, I'd be wanting to blitz Trey Lance as well. He hasn't proven that he can hit the blitz, the hot route, and get the ball out when he needs to. He hasn't been able to do any of that yet, and he didn't show it in the preseason. There were opportunities where he struggled a little bit. So I think that they come after him, and if he can navigate that and he's able to get the ball out on time and get it to the guys that he's supposed to and hit his checkdowns early in this football game, it's going to create opportunities for this guy to be able to win because he can stretch the game vertically. He can freeze linebackers with his run play. So now they have to commit. So you're going to have windows and avenues to throw the ball over the middle. He just has to stretch the defense a little bit early on. That's why I like the deep shot. I like the RPOs to stretch it horizontally. So now you stretch it vertically and horizontally. That's going to give you the run lanes that you need. That's going to give you the ability to strike over the middle. And then I think we can see the full totality of what he can do in this offense. But it's also a timing thing, a rhythm thing. I'm hoping he plays with more anticipation. Get rid of the football as they're making the break, not after they've made their break. Don't throw it when they're open. Throw it as they're coming open. And that's a big difference. And I think if he can do those things, he can be successful against this Arizona secondary, especially since Byron Murphy's going to be out.
Correct. With Byron Murphy out, there's chances, there's opportunities. And look, it's one of those things too for me with Trey in this situation here at the quarterback spot where you have a guy who's inexperienced and he's not necessarily comfortable with what he's seeing, but now you have a full week, right, where you're putting in a game plan and scheming things up specifically for what he's seeing or what he's looking at. There's chances to take advantage. Also, Trey has shown that he is very, very aware. He's self-aware. He's aware of his issues and his problems.
He is.
When he talked about the George Kittle throw, for example, throwing it at his feet, horrendous throw, terrible throw. A lot of people chalk it up to nerves. I've seen a lot of fans chalk it up to nerves. Trey, not nerves, and I didn't feel like it was nerves either. It felt like he's overthinking. I'm seeing this. I want to take this, but should I be taking this? There's another route coming up over here and over the middle of the field. Maybe I should hold on to this football.
Yeah.
And then by the time you think about it, you've now thought yourself into the decision, out of the decision, and now you're thinking yourself back into the decision. It's different. The timing's now off. You're not necessarily getting the ball out when the receiver thought. Maybe the receiver's slowing down. They're altering and adjusting their route because they think you're trying to scramble. And There's tons of things that go into that. And Trey talked about that. I'm overthinking some things. Great. I'm glad that he knows that and he's aware of it because it feels like he is. So if he can settle his brain down, not overthink, trust his eyes, and just let himself make some decisions. I expect mistakes from Trey Lance. Any fan that's going into this game not expecting any mistakes from Trey Lance, you're going to get mistakes. You're going to. No mistakes, zero mistakes. You're going to get mistakes from this kid. What you hope is that they're not game-breaking mistakes and series-ending mistakes like turnovers. Not missing out on opportunities on third downs to convert. You're hoping it's not those type of mistakes, but those are going to happen. I want to see how he bounces back and responds to those, right? How does he respond to the game-breaking, the series-ending, the drive-ending mistakes? Does he come back out a little skittish, not trusting his eyes, not willing to make decisions, not willing to take underneath stuff? Or does he come back out and respond by, hey, I missed this guy on this last one on a check when I checked down when I should have checked down. I held on to the ball too long a little bit here. I'm going to get this thing out the next time I plant my back foot. How does he respond? If he responds to all those situations, positively, right? I missed the hot read. The next time he sees a blitz, he goes right to it. Great. Hey, this is a timing route, a sequence route, right? I'm going to look right. I'm going to pull this safety over. I'm going to pull this linebacker over. And as my guy hits that middle crosser, that dig over the middle field to sit in the window, as soon as that back foot hits, bam, get my shoulders turned around and get this ball out quickly in space. If he's responding well to those things, I'm going to feel great as a 49er fan, regardless of the result. I'm hoping to God it's a W, because a W would be huge for his confidence. It'd be huge for this team. Missing Kittle, right? Yeah. Missing K1 Williams, missing Dre Greenlaw, missing the guy who's supposed to be your starting quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. If Trey's able to get a W out of this, that's huge for us. But if Trey shows the development from game 1 to game 2 in terms of fixing mistakes, cleaning things up, and learning, right? Learning from mishaps, learning from misreads, learning from misdiagnoses of the defense and his anticipation, I'm going to feel even better. And Kyle Shanahan will be sitting there going, got something, folks. It's there. All the things that I thought, right, pre-draft about this kid, that he understands the scheme, he understands the system, and at North Dakota State, right, he was able to put the ball consistently to the guy in space that he was supposed to put it to. He can do that here for us too. That's huge for Kyle Shanahan.
That's what he needs to do, right? Get the ball out. That's what we're asking for from last game, is get the ball out to the guy you're supposed to get to on time. And if he does that, then he can operate the system at a high level because his athletic tools are through the roof. But it's going to be a tall order, because talking to Evan and getting some of the insight, he talked about how they're basically going to run a heavy nickel. It sounds like they're going to put Isaiah Simmons in the nickel role, and they're going to put an extra linebacker out there. So they know the 49ers are going to go with some sort of set that tries to put them in a nickel package, and they've already figured out a way to adjust to it. The inside information is nice, so now San Francisco has an idea. But I think that's part of the reason I'm worried about how they're going to play Trey Lance. I think they figured from the beginning they were going to get Trey, and they're operating, thinking that they can take him away. And I think they have the tools to make it really rough. I think this is one of those bad matchups. I really wish there would have been a full game plan going into Seattle, because I think he could have taken advantage of Seattle with a full game plan and defeated them. It's unfortunate that he hasn't been able to, and now he's going against Arizona defense that has all these quick linebackers and are really built to get after you and play physical. Now, the only thing we got going for us, like you said, they're a bottom 5 in the run game. And the fact that the 49ers can be successful in the run game and use Trey Lance in that way is something they're going to have to rely on. But I am curious how this nickel package looks with Isaiah Simmons, the freak athlete that he is, bearing down on Trey Lance continuous, because I think they're going to muck up some of the reads. Now, what could happen, though, is if the 49ers are able to go to this RPO and make it look like it's a read option, but get the ball into Deebo Samuel and Brandon Aiyuk's hands out in space, they'll be able to create, because there are weaknesses in the secondary. So they're going to force Trey to beat them throwing the football, and he's going to have to go out there and do it. Does he have the ability to do it? Yeah. But can he consistently take what's there? Take what's there, don't force anything, and just live to fight another day.
Yeah, I mean, it's true, man. It is. It's the reality of the situation. And I'll tell you what, man, the 49ers, the defense is going to have to step up this week too.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you put the onus on the rookie to try and, carry the brunt of the load here, you're asking a lot. That's a rookie backfield and a rookie quarterback. Defense definitely needs to step up this week, and it's going to be a tall task. It really is. Luckily for the 49ers, you got Justin Murray, who's dealing with a little bit of a back issue for them. So the tackle, it looks like he's going to be out for this game as well. Ooh. And so you're missing a tackle. 49ers pass rush could take advantage. And I'm seeing this now just come across my screen. In practice on Friday for the Arizona Cardinals, Marco Wilson, the other guy, the guy who's been operating as the slot, did not practice. He's a DNP with ribs, so he's got to be trending towards doubtful heading into Sunday. They could be out without 2 of their 3 top cornerbacks as well. Trey Lance might have himself a little bit easier job in the passing game, which is great to hear. But for the 49ers, defensively, right, you got to get after Kyler Murray to an extent. The thing that scares me right now, Ant, is the fact that he has dealt with the pressure, right, with the pass rush, blitzes, and things of that nature at an extremely, extremely high level. What, 158.3 or something like that on PFF is what they have him graded at. Yeah. Something outside of this world. And when you watch them, right, when you watch the things that he's been doing in games, when pressure comes, he finds a way to get the ball out to the right guy in space. They have a lot of weapons on the outside. What are the 49ers going to need to do with this front? What are they going to need to do with the linebacking position? Can we afford to have Marcel Harris out in the field this week?
Yeah, you can, because he's fast and he's a good tackler. So, I mean, yeah, he matches up and he's somebody that you can use to spy occasionally, shift who you're spying. But I think when it comes down to it, it's all about presenting pressure, making him think pressure's coming without actually pressuring with more than 4. So you want to give the appearance of, make him feel uncomfortable, and then these guys want to rush in a certain lane, a certain zone. You don't want to get caught up inside. You want to make sure your outside guys stay outside, and if you are doing any sort of a stunts, that the inside guy actually makes it to the outside. If you do that and you keep him bottled up, that's the key, bottling him up. You can bring pressure as long as it forces him into another area where you're doing your job. If you can do that, then you can get to him. That is what it's all about with pressure. It's about funneling him to a certain area where you can secure the tackle, secure the sack. If you don't, and you leave avenues and creases for this guy to be able to run up the middle or for him to be able to get outside of your defensive end, it's going to be a bad day. It's like I said before, don't let these defensive ends get too far upfield this week to create those little avenues that he can get out, sneak out, and then create with his legs and extend plays and get the ball down the field. If they keep him in the pocket, it is going to be a successful day for the 49ers. You want that pocket to collapse on him. That's where you want your sacks to come. You want nothing where he's running. Keep him in the pocket. Make him throw over the offensive line and defensive line. Make him throw over Kinlaw's outstretched hands. And leave the possibility for airmail footballs that can be intercepted or turned over. So I think that is the game plan, and that's what they have to do. And this week, more than ever, it's not as important to get there fast, but to get there the right way.
Getting there the right way is the key, man.
Yeah.
Getting there the right way is the key. Not, not collapsing inside with your ends and giving him the outside lane to scramble. Not getting too wide so that there's openings in the middle, right, for him to sneak out of, because he will sneak out. He will find them. This is one of those weeks where you have to pick your poison with Kyler Murray. What area of the game, if he's going to beat you, what area of the game do you want him to beat you with right now? I would prefer it's throwing the football, and especially throwing the football underneath. That's what I would love. I would love him trying to operate in the middle of the field, things of that nature, in the pocket. If you can take away one part of his game and make him beat you with one aspect in one area, the game becomes manageable. Look what the 49ers did with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
They, for the most part, made him play in the pocket. Got out of the pocket is where he beat the 49ers the most. So the 49ers build on last week's performance. For one half, you did a great job of keeping Russell contained, disguising your coverages, and getting enough pressure to make him extremely uncomfortable for most of that first half, save one drive and one possession. If you can build off that and extend that into 4 quarters of football, make Kyler play one half of a game, right? Only utilize one half of his tools. It now becomes much more manageable. You get to dictate and determine what things he's doing, how he's doing them, and what things you're allowing him to have. You control and dictate the pace, and if you're doing those things, you can force him into decisions that he doesn't want to make.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like Arizona is really going to want to force the 49ers into their base 4-3 set, which is good news for us. That might mean Marcel Harris isn't on the field very much. That could mean that the 49ers have a nickel back out there, and if they do, let's see who they roll with. Is it Dante Johnson? Is it Drake Kirkpatrick? Not sure, but both of those guys, operating in space are a little bit different than, having the linebackers that we've been currently putting out there. So it might be a matchup thing for the 49ers where you look at it usually as all those wide receivers and talented wide receivers that Arizona has as a complete detriment when you're looking at the secondary the 49ers have. But maybe it's actually a strength because you pull one of your weaknesses out. Seattle was struggling when they were running those type of sets and had the 49ers nickel out there. When the 49ers nickel was out there, Dante Johnson was getting home. He was bringing blitzes, so Russ had to get rid of the ball quicker. That is something they can do to Kyler. You can almost cookie cutter a game plan for Kyler Murray that you have for Russell Wilson. They're very similar players in the way that they operate in the pocket, extend outside the pocket, and then both throw with great accuracy down the field. So, I mean, I think that the 49ers are going to be well aware of what they need to do. The things that they did wrong, they can correct in this game. Now, Kyler is more dynamic with his legs than Russell Wilson is because he's a lot faster. But I think Russ is a better thrower from inside the pocket than Kyler Murray is at this stage in his career. And I actually fear Russell Wilson's deep ball a lot more than Kyler Murray's deep ball. So I think there are strengths and weaknesses for both guys. And I think the 49ers, as long as they can keep this guy in the pocket and disguise what they're doing, that is the whole key. Late movement by the 49ers defense will keep Kyler Murray from being able to figure it out. It's all well and good when you can come up and pick out what's going on. But if you've been completely deked and pressure comes from somewhere you're not willing to, or not able to find it, it's going to get home. And when it does, it's a big time play for your defense. Then you're able to play it a different way the very next play. You can sit back, sag, tackle underneath, make him take the check down. So it's all about making one play that ends up, getting you off the field eventually.
And that's been the point I've been making for the past few episodes of the pod, right? For the last, feels like 2 weeks. The Niners are a play away. They're a play away literally in almost any aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Special teams, defense, offense. If they can make one more play on all three phases or one of those phases throughout a game that they're not making right now, the game changes. The outcome of the game changes. The momentum changes. How the game plays out changes. Those things are important. And we're talking about one play. If you're looking at this team right now and thinking they can't fix one play, they 100% can. And with a new, quarterback in an offense, it changes the dynamic of what those plays actually are and what needs to occur, right? How it needs to change. You have the big play potential with Trey Lance. A big play could change, how this game goes and the momentum swing. Defensively, if they're not going to go if they're going to put us in nickel situations, okay, well now it's going to be on a couple of things, right? Slowing guys down in space, tackling in space when they're out in those nickel packages, throwing short and intermediate routes, and not getting deep PI calls. I mean, those things all are important for the 49ers to clean up and can change the outcome of the football game for the 49ers. 9 points in 2 weeks. 9 points in 2 weeks. If you can find a way to make those one plays, the one drive a game right now on offense or defense in this week 5 game, you change your fortunes, you change the outlook of this team going forward, you change the trajectory of this team heading into the bye week. Trey can get it done. I have faith that Trey can get it done. We're going to see how Kyle Shanahan dials this up and how he wants Trey to attack early on, but Arizona's got to be careful as well. You're missing some pieces in your secondary, which means playmakers on the outside may have an easier time in space, and all it's going to take is one big play from Trey to potentially set the momentum in the 49ers' favor, especially if it happens early, right? Or if it's late and the game is close. It could be a game-breaking play that Trey could pull off, arm or legs, and to either extend a drive, put the Niners in field goal range, or deep downfield. I'm hoping for the best version of Trey Lance, because the best version of Trey Lance is going to give the 49ers a chance to win this football game on offense and defensively. I'm hoping for the same intensity, the same aggressiveness, the same scheme, right? Or at least planning of the scheme that D'Amico Ryans has put on paper and put on film for the first 4 weeks, and better execution. Because better execution is going to lead to more stops, more opportunities for Trey to get cooking and for the offense to get rolling, and hopefully a big lead to play with so we don't have to worry about close football games.
Yeah, and how much intel can Drake Kirkpatrick give to the secondary? Whether that's what these receivers like to do, what things they like to do on the certain routes, how Cliff Kingsbury's concepts work. There is going to be a little bit of insight there. I wonder how much we're going to see Kirkpatrick out there with Norman being back. Are they going to roll with Norman and Mosley? Are they going to move Mosley around with D-Hop? I bet you early in the game they don't, and they try to play it straight up. Norman's one of those guys that he's willing to take on anyone, but I'm curious who's going to be playing in the slot. Is that going to be Dante Johnson again, or are they going to move Drake Kirkpatrick inside? I am curious how they handle the secondary. For once we have the necessary guys to be out there, I feel confident with those guys out there, and Diameter Lenore as well. So it's one of those times where it's like, yeah, we got guys now. We got dudes that can get out there and execute.
Bodies.
We got guys that can actually execute. It's not Brian Allen coming in. It's not these other guys. We got guys that can get it done. And I think I feel very, very confident in that. And the thing that we never talk about week to week is Tart and Ward. And the reason is because they're just doing their thing.
Just doing their job.
They're just playing at a good level. I think if they were having turnovers, they'd be considered Pro Bowl type players, because the way they've been filling in the run and then playing the pass has been really, really good. I mean, they've been asked to be in man coverage, and they've executed at a high level consistently throughout the season. So those two guys continue to play well. The people that we never question are right. Fred Warner in the middle, and those two guys. I think that says a lot about the defense. And as things start to stabilize around them, I wonder if this is their coming out party. Could this be the coming out party where you have an offense that's not supposed to be stopped, and then they can come out there and get it done? Maybe they don't stop them, but they slow them down enough to get the victory. D. Ford talked about the fact that complementary football is important, that it's demoralizing when you are out there stopping someone as a defense and the offense doesn't score points. Hopefully the offense can score some points this week and make sure this defense feels confident that they have an opportunity to win. And maybe the defense will hold out for 4 quarters. I mean, so far we haven't had a 4-quarter effort. If we get a 4-quarter effort, they can beat Arizona. So I'm excited to see all the ins and outs of what DeMeco does. I do think at times he's going to bring pressure after Kyler Murray. I don't think he thinks for 1 second that Kyler can win every single time. And let's see how they confuse him, see if it's similar to Russ. Russ was struggling at first until they went to their base set. Don't think Cliff Kingsbury is willing to go out there and roll out 2 tight ends and force the 49ers into a base 4-3.
Taking a lot of playmakers off the field if you do that, Ant. You really are for the Arizona Cardinals.
Is that a good situation for the 49ers?
It's not.
Well, is it? Could it be, though? Is their tight ends good enough? Are their tight ends better than Disley and who Seattle was rolling out there?
I don't know, but you're rolling with Seattle's 2 and 3 tight end and operating well. I would imagine that Arizona's 1 and 2 tight end can get the job done. I would think. The question is does Cliff Kingsbury want to do that? Right?
He doesn't want to.
No, and that's the thing. I think that's the only thing that bodes well for the 49ers is that you have a coach who has a lot of confidence in his weapons on the outside, right? In his athletes and in his playmakers and the guys that they've gone out and signed, drafted, moved heaven and earth in order to bring in for this specific reason. Can he set aside the desire to utilize all of the toys to put the team in a position to exploit a potential weakness for the 49ers? If he does that, Ant, what does DeMeco Ryans have dialed up to address that? Because I don't know if you can just necessarily run Marcel Harris out there for 45-50% of snaps, or basically half of a game, because that's what happened in week 4. He rolled out there for half of the game, and eventually it catches up to San Francisco.
I almost think you go nickel anyways. You just roll with it, and you're like, all right, because you might as well have a guy that's better in coverage than Marcel Harris out there.
Could you see this being a week where if they have 2 tight end sets, they roll a package out there where they bring Talanoa Hufanga in and maybe move Jimmy Ward or Jaquiski Tartt up into the box?
Yeah, they could, 100%. I mean, I would almost say you go to Von Wilson on the back end and not Talanoa Hufanga.
I would say that as well.
Yeah, because he's better in coverage, but Hufanga would operate better in the box. But yeah, if you need a better linebacker in the box right now, Tartt and Ward are better options. They're better run stoppers than Marcel Harris is. That is a weakness of the 49ers, his linebacker position, because you got Fred Warner and Azeez Al-Shaair, but you are missing that third guy. Flanagan Foles, they're not even willing to put him in. Marcel Harris is on his first year on the job as a linebacker. So yeah, I mean, that's why they're bringing in Michael Kendricks to work out and looking at other guys. They need Dre Greenlaw back. If Dre Greenlaw was out there, we wouldn't even be talking about this. But Seattle definitely found a weakness in the 49ers game, a chink in their armor, and they went after it, and they did it in a big way. 49ers now have to adjust. Whether that's going to be, I don't know, but you bring up a good point. Maybe you just take one of those safeties and put them in there. Maybe you also put an extra corner out there. I don't know how you handle it. These guys are good, but yeah, the run fits, it makes it more complicated. It really does, and I worry about Marcel Harris and his run fits. He hasn't been that good. Oh, man, yeah, that is the rough area. I'm hoping, this is what I'm hoping, that Cliff Kingsbury doesn't have the wherewithal to do it consistently. I think he'll go to it from time to time, but I don't think he can consistently sit there and have that fortitude to just be like, you know what, I'm going to roll with this over and over. Seattle will do it. Pete Carroll doesn't care. He'd run with it every single play if he needed to.
All Pete Carroll cares about is his gum and being able to do this.
It was great in the game on Thursday night, Alex, was Pete Carroll. They went to kick a field goal and missed. And Pete Carroll got caught mid-gum at addition. So he was like, it was wonderful. Yeah, it was wonderful. I almost thought he was going to choke on it for a second,
And then all of our dreams would come true. Pete Carroll choking on that gun for just a second and be like, take it, Pete.
Another thing, why couldn't Russ get hurt a couple weeks earlier?
It's fine. I feel really bad for Seattle fans. I got to say, though, man, Geno Smith, it didn't look too bad.
Yeah, there for a minute, I thought for sure that people were going to be calling, why do we need Russ? We got Geno.
True.
Cheaper.
Also true.
Favorite tweet of the whole thing was, look, Pete Carroll was able to get Geno ready to play. How come Kyle Shanahan wasn't ready to get Trey Lance ready?
Geno Smith has been in the league for 9 years, longer than Trey Lance, is that a serious tweet?
That was a serious tweet.
My goodness gracious!
Yeah, I should have put it on Big Yikes.
Probably should go on Big Yikes. It probably will be on Big Yikes. If you want to see us react to that one on Big Yikes,
I just had to bring that up because that was the actual response.
Look, I don't. What I don't want people to do is to come here and think one thing or the other, that we feel one way about Trey, one way about Jimmy, or vice versa.
I like Trey.
We've been consistent on this.
I like Jimmy.
That's the consistency. Is we like our quarterback.
I like Trey and Jimmy.
We're both guys, right? We're in the camp of both guys. We want to build up Trey without putting down Jimmy Garoppolo, but we also want to be honest about where Trey is, because the last thing that we want is to set the expectation bar at A, knowing that he's never going to get there, and then ragging on the rest of the team for why he's not there. If Trey doesn't get to a certain level, it'll be because Trey's not ready. It won't be because Kyle doesn't know what he's doing, the team around him sucks, or we're just not capable. This roster has been built to compete and contend, right, for a Super Bowl. That's what this roster is. Through 4 weeks, this roster has competed. They've been in every single football game. They've had a chance to win every single football game. So we're not wrong here in thinking that this roster can compete. It can. 2 weeks it's gotten it done. 2 weeks it hasn't gotten it done. Now it's a new week with a new quarterback who's got his own strengths and his own weaknesses. It's up to the coaching staff, right, to put in the game plan that he can execute. It's up to Trey to go out there and try and execute it. And it's up to the rest of the team to elevate themselves so they take some of the pressure off the rookie. Because you can't just put the weight of the world on this kid's shoulders and expect him to carry the load. That isn't fair. It's not realistic, and it's not beneficial to this football team, right? Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't need to carry this football team in order for this team to have success. Trey Lance shouldn't have to either.
No, he shouldn't. I mean, there are expectations on Trey Lance, and I mean, he knows what those expectations are. But, I mean, really what his expectations are from Kyle Shanahan are the things that matter, right? They want him to get to the right guys, get the ball out on time, execute the game plan, and if he does, he's going to be successful.
Take care of the football.
It is. That's always an expectation, 100%. Right? 100% for every single guy that touches the ball. That is the most important thing.
Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick well, he doesn't do it.
Not just that, Alex Mack, Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, Trey Sermon, all those guys are required to hold on to the football because it's the most valuable asset there is on the field.
It is.
Yeah, if you turn it over, you're probably not going to win, and that's the thing that is getting lost a little bit. I've seen some people talking about it. We've lost the turnover battle the last couple of weeks, and if you win the turnover battle, you probably win the football game. So yeah, Trey, holding on to the football and keeping it in control of the 49ers is important. At the same time, I want him to play free as well. I don't want him to be so guarded and worried about making a turnover.
Don't be robotic.
Yeah, that he doesn't take the opportunities that are there. So I am curious, how they handle it, but I'm okay with Trey getting out there and spinning it and letting it roll. Let's see what happens. I mean, let's really get in, see what happens, and let's break down the all-22, because the one thing I will say is, this, I'm a Mike McGlinchey fan. Like, I love the way he run blocks and everything, but when we broke down the all-22 film and they ran the 4th and 2 fly sweep, I was the first one to say Mike McGlinchey missed. Mike McGlinchey made a bad mistake. It's okay. You know who else realized that Mike McGlinchey made a bad mistake? Mike McGlinchey. And he will correct it, and he will try to correct it. And that's what Trey's going to do. That's what all these players try to do, including Kyle Shanahan. He looks in the mirror. He looks at these game films, and like, man, I should have done this. I could have done this to help my football team out. I could have done this to help this player out. And they all adjust. These guys are humans, and they're trying to operate. You're not robots. You can't make it happen every single time. The team that has the most people do the most right things at a time. So if you have 11 on each side. The one that gets like 10 to do everything right is probably going to win because the other team couldn't get that many done, right? It's a battle that way. Other it's 7 guys get it done, and the other team doesn't get that. They get 5 guys to get it done, and you get it done the right way and you win.
Look, too, the other thing, too, about that, and I have to piggyback off of that because it was a great point that you just made, is Kyle Shanahan looking at that 4th and 2 fly sweep. Right, he saw the position his team was in, and he made a call specifically because what did he see early with Trey Lance? Holding linebackers, freezing guys in space.
True.
What did you not see on that fly sweep? Nobody thought Trey was keeping that football. They all thought Deebo Samuel was getting that football. So what does that signal in Kyle Shanahan's mind? If people have to choose between Trey and Deebo, they're going to choose Deebo.
Well, it also means they have to choose.
That's true.
And if you hesitate even for a second, it leaves you the opportunity to make a play. As an offensive coordinator, I didn't care if you went the wrong way. I just wanted you to stay put for a second because if you did, I could get an offensive lineman, a tight end, somebody to you to make a play. You're a half second slow, and once you are, my dynamic player can make a play. So you're right. You get the fly sweep going. That same action, if you get movement, now you can run a read off of it. You get movement, you don't give it to Deebo. You keep it quarterback power, quarterback counter going the other way. Huge play. Also, don't be shocked if they don't run a pass play out of that as well, because now you can have somebody, all these guys are moving with the wash, you move with it, somebody sneaks out going across the formation, he hits it. All these things open up. But Trey Lance is going to have to pull the football this week. Trey Lance did not pull on read options last week. He did not pull on RPOs last week.
And he had opportunities.
And he needs to pull. Whether they told him that, though, I can't judge Trey because I don't know if they told him don't pull. If they did, why? But that's
open. Yeah. Now's the time where your point becomes completely accurate.
Yeah.
Right. Let the kid free.
Let it go.
Let him do what he needs to do. Let him make his reads. Put him in positions to make decisions and make judgment calls, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, you have to trust him, and you have to trust him, and every single one of those teammates have to trust him as well. It's just let the kid go out there, let him play, let everything fall as it is. You put him in the best opportunities and best situations to be successful. If he does, fantastic. If he doesn't, you learn from it, and you try to put him in better situations next time, and you try to get him to improve along the way.
Correct. I mean, the hand's been dealt now. We know what it is for the 49ers. You don't have to go all in with Trey Lance, and Kyle has said just as much. You don't have to necessarily go all in with Trey Lance just yet, but you have to play out this hand, right? Don't fold the hand. Play it out. Let's see what happens. We come out of this with a win. Great. Amazing. Everyone is feeling, sky's the limit right now, and the overreactions on Monday are going to be through the roof, Ant.
Wonderful.
Or maybe they'll be accurate reactions. Only time will tell.
Well, either way, it's going to be glorious. I mean, either way, one half of the fan base is going to go crazy. The only half that I want to go crazy is the ones that we get a win. I don't care what is said about performance or anything.
Trey, Jimmy.
If it starts with 49ers win, but I'm okay with it. If it's 49ers win, but I'm all good with the hyperbole. If you want Trey, if you want Jimmy, Trey didn't play well, Trey played great, whatever it is, I'm fine with it as long as it starts with the 49ers win.
49ers win, that's all we care about. Get this big fat W. Yeah. Get some crumble cookies right here in this belly.
Never had them before.
I don't want Evan to have 2 boxes of crumble cookies.
No, I don't either.
I don't want that at all.
Because that means I paid for crumble cookies that I don't get to enjoy.
And if that happens, I will have to buy a second box just so you can enjoy some. Also,
nice.
I got you, my friend. That's what I'm here for. Look, let us know what you think about all of this down below in the comment section. Are you excited about Trey Day? Are you dreading Trey Day? You worried about Kittle? You excited about all the other things that are panning out and the opportunities the 49ers are going to have to attack this week in Arizona secondary? We want to hear from you down below.
It was Seattle secondary.
I wish it was. We want to hear from you in the comment section down below right now, right this instant. Let us know about it. And while you're down there, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell, and we'll see you over on Patreon for the All-22 film preview of the Arizona Cardinals.
Yep, I'm looking forward to this game. I'm looking forward to see what Trey can do. I'm looking forward to seeing what Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel come up with and how they execute this game plan, whether that is with George Kittle or without George Kittle, just how they operate and what type of defense they want to see from Arizona. They're going to be able to manipulate it by their personnel grouping and how Arizona counteracts that. If they use Isaiah Simmons as the Trey Lance watcher, if he's going to be there shadowing him the whole time, I'm curious, and I'm all about it. And plus, maybe a glimpse at Zaven Collins, who's one of the guys that I was very much hyped about in the draft, so I'm curious to see how he looks. But ultimately, Trey Lance, get it done, get this dub. Elijah Mitchell, welcome back. We really needed you. And let's see this game. Let's get it going. Arizona in all black. Maybe we can make them lose again at home. That would be wonderful. I've never wanted to say this before, but I actually want the 49ers to cause the 72 Dolphins to pop the cork.
Pop the cork this week, 72 Dolphins. We really want that. Cutback crew, this is a fun one. We'll see you all for the reaction show Sunday after the game. Hopefully it's a glorious celebration.
It's going to be glorious.
I have faith that it's going to be 17-13 San Francisco. And until the next one, stay safe.
Or 27-24. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.